Today we're debunking 3 myths about building muscle after 40. So if you're a woman over 40 and you're trying to heal your metabolism or lose fat, get toned, lean, defined, you know that muscle building is essential and you need to make sure that you are not believing any of these myths because of the fact that they're just going to stand in your way and stop you from actually building the muscle that you need to reach your goals. Myth number 1 is that it's too late. This could not be farther from the truth. And the funny thing is that no matter how old a person is, they still say it. So I have women that are 35 saying that it's too late, and I've heard women that are 65 to 75 saying that it's too late. The research actually shows that not only is it possible for a woman to continue adding muscle to her frame as she ages, but it's the very thing that changes her biological age. So chronological age has nothing to do with biological age. And the biggest factor with changing your biological age is adding muscle mass to your frame. So while it might be harder to do as you get older, it is not impossible. So thinking that it's too late and believing that it's too late is just going to stop you from doing what it takes and from putting in the time and effort that it will take to get to the goal, because it's never about whether something is too late or unrealistic. It's always about, are you willing to put in the time, energy, and effort that is required to reach that goal? So it's never about the goal. It's about, are you willing to do what it takes to get to the goal? So that would be the biggest myth that I see. The second biggest myth that I see is that lifting weights makes you bulky. In this day and age, looking at media and how women's physiques have changed over the decades, you always see these comparisons of like the Golden Girls era and how women looked in their 50s, once upon a time, versus how a lot of them looking now, like the Holly Berrys and the J-Los. Just looking at this drastic difference, we can see that a lot of the women that have physiques that we tend to covet actually do lift weights. So we already understand that lifting weights doesn't make you bulky, like on the surface level, but so many women, I find out, especially working with them personally and talking to trainers that are working with these women, that a lot of women still have this deep down subconscious belief that they will get bulky from lifting weights. And sometimes this comes out in the form of, well, I need to lose weight first and then I'll tone up. When women are looking more to do things that are going to keep them toned, but they're also afraid of lifting heavy, that belief is still there. So many women still really do hold on to this belief, and they're worried about lifting making them bulky. And I've talked in previous videos about the fact that while yes, muscle does build under a layer of fat, that's why some women do feel like they've had the experience of getting bulky. But once the fat layer goes away, that's where you see the tone at. The thing is you can't tone what isn't there. So if you just focus on the losing fat part, but there's no muscle underneath, you will never get there. You will just keep trying to lose and lose and lose and lose, and all you're doing is eating away at the muscle mass. So one of the things that I like to say is that the same way that you won't accidentally get a PhD from reading some medical books, you won't accidentally get too bulky from lifting heavy. It's a very intentional process, the same way that becoming a doctor, getting a PhD is a very intentional process. There is a specific curriculum that you would need to follow in order to achieve that goal. And that's the exact same thing that it comes to building muscle. There is a specific set of rules that you have to follow in order to build muscle. And when it comes to being too bulky, one of those rules would be having testosterone, which women don't have. So even though we understand this, like I say, I still find that that is a myth that a lot of women still struggle with, and they keep putting off lifting heavy, thinking that it's going to make the problem worse, thinking that they're going to get too bulky. And as I always like to say, trust me, you will see too bulky coming from a mile away. So if at any point in time you are lifting and suddenly you're too bulky, if you see it coming, you can just stop lifting. It's very easy to lose muscle. It's very hard to gain it. So if you ever did cross over that threshold where it's too much muscle for you, nothing that a diet, lack of lifting, being more sedentary won't solve. Just stop paying attention to your muscle and it will go away very quickly. So it's an easily solved problem if it was to ever happen to you. But trust me, it probably won't. So the third myth that I see a lot of women over the age of 40 believing that's hindering them from actual results that they want is cardio, thinking that cardio is king for fat loss. The issue with this is not only is cardio not king for fat loss, because having muscle is, but also muscle building and fat loss are two totally different phases. So a lot of women are so caught up in the fat loss piece that they're not willing to let go of diet behaviors when it comes to building their muscles. So the things that you would lean on, this is if cardio was king for fat loss was actually true. Even if that were true, you would still want to set that aside during a muscle building phase because that has nothing to do with fat loss. So holding on to those addictions to the things that help you to lose the weight aren't going to help you to build muscle. So thinking that you can continue to eat in a deficit and have tons and tons of cardio in your exercise routine could be hindering your muscle building efforts. So that is another huge one that I see, is that unwillingness to let go of it. And sometimes that shows up in the form of, oh, well, I just need more cardio than other people, or, well, should I adjust my calories if I'm taking out my cardio, and things like that. So there's different ways that the question tends to pop up that shows you that that belief is there. So I see that being something that truly does get in the way for a lot of women. So if you're believing any of those things, that it's too late for you to start, that lifting weights will make you bulky, or that you need tons and tons of cardio while you're trying to build muscle, those are getting in the way of you getting the results. And remember, if any part of you wants that tight, lean, compact physique, even if it's not like a ton of muscle that you can see, that look requires muscle. If you want to heal your metabolism, that requires muscle. If you want to age well and age backwards, that requires muscle. So if you are allowing these myths to continue to permeate and you try to hold on to them while moving into your next level, it's not possible. You will have to drop these myths, leave those beliefs behind, and move forward with your journey. So hopefully that gave you a little bit to chew on. And if you are somebody who is looking to lose fat over 40, make sure you are subscribed to this channel, because that's all of the information that I give is for the woman over 40 that's looking to lose fat, build muscle, and rebuild our metabolism. But I also highly recommend checking out some of the resources that I'll link below, especially the Eat More to Weigh Less training app, where I walk you through exactly how to reset your metabolism, build more muscle, and finally start losing fat again, no matter how far over 40 you are. So thank you guys for joining, and I will see you in the next one.